Air Force is a little bit different than the other services with regard to bases. If you look at missions like our remotely piloted aircraft, long-range bombers, global mobility, whatever that is, when it comes time for us to actually get into a high-end fight, we're fighting from those bases. Those bases will be targets for the enemy, those bases will have to be resilient, and those bases will run missions from right where they're at. We're not picking up and going anywhere. So if you look at it in that context, our bases are just a little bit different than others. Because of sequestration and some other readiness priorities for the last 6 or 8 years, the Air Force has essentially underfunded our infrastructure sustainment and maintenance and recapitalization. And that's resulted in about a $33 billion backlog in work that needs to be done. We're starting to see just foundational problems with some of our infrastructure, and at some point, especially in the Air Force, where we depend very heavily on facilities and advanced facilities and operations centers and mission control centers to get our mission done, at some point that starts impacting the mission.
I apologize for interrupting, but you're also, according to the Air Force, going to cut 18,000 training and flying hours starting over the next couple of months. Is that correct?
That's the intended consequence without supplemental funding.
Thank you.
So the Air Force has about $262 billion worth of facilities. That's what it would cost to replace our 180 Air Force bases, so to speak. And so we worked with the senior leaders of the Air Force over the last year and said, in order to get a steady, predictable level of investment for the next 30 years, that we would like to up our investment from where it currently is in FY19, which is something probably less than 1.5% of that, and get that up to about 2% in the 5-year plan. We're asking Congress to team with us to fundamentally transform how we manage billions of dollars of infrastructure investment over the next 30 years. The strategy, though, isn't just about money. The other part of it is a changed business process. When you have limited funds and you're going to put them towards your highest priority projects, the buildings that are in the absolute worst shape, because you have to. You don't have a choice. And that was essentially our strategy going in. It's been the strategy for 6 or 7 years under constrained funds. So that means, another way of saying that is we're going to wait until a facility degrades to the point towards the most expensive cost point in the life cycle to fix. It could cost 5 or 7, 8 times as much to fix it at that point when it gets to its worst condition than it would if we recapitalized it at the lowest cost point of the life cycle, which is somewhere about midlife. If you go in about midlife, you fix the roof, you get new heating, ventilation, air conditioning, upgrade the electrical, that all costs money, but that investment will reset the life of that building for another 40 or 50 years.